Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. It's stage 16 of Giro d'Italia. Fabulous stage, originally planned, monstrous 212 kilometers, about 130 miles. It was huge with climbs all over the place. Today's stage, because of the rain and cold, it's 5 degrees, about 45 or less Fahrenheit, to 1 degree Celsius, which is just about freezing Fahrenheit. So it's cold out there and it's raining most of the day. Luckily, near the finish, it'll start to at least stop raining, but it will always be wet and miserable for the riders. And super cold. We're talking about freezing temperatures at the top of these summits. Now, when the riders show up on a stage like today, when you went to bed the night before, you know it's a massive stage going, but now you're going to show up and they're trying to change the stage. The riders' unions are in discussion with the race organizers to make the stage a little shorter and a little safer for the riders because of the freezing temperatures and possible snow and ice that they would have on the top of these climbs, because we're talking freezing temperatures. When I arrived at races like this, my most important thing I brought was my rain bag. There's an episode in the video further down on the YouTube channel here that will tell you everything inside. But this rain bag is in car number 1. That's what dictates the 1 on the bag. We carry 2. There's 1 in car number 2. It's the most important material you can have in this race. You're going to have all your rain, your gloves, your rain jackets, your glasses. You might have to change glasses multiple times. You will have to change rain jackets multiple times on a stage of this length and this cold. And you will certainly have to change your gloves multiple times on a stage if you want to survive when we're talking about it's 1 degree Celsius or freezing out there. It's going to be a miserable day. They cut the stage 153 kilometers now, about 95 miles, and they start climbing right away when they hit the first climb, La Crocetta, 11.5 kilometers long at about 7%. It's a monster of a climb, and it's going to be hard and hurt the legs early on. Now, I'm taking a guess here. They had very limited video coverage on today's stage, but a big break goes up the road with Harm van Halke on the front, pulling nonstop. I saw him on the front for about 3K. I don't know what the Lotto Sudol rider Harm was thinking. He was on the front just driving it up this climb, making sure he would be in the first breakaway of the day. But if you got no legs left for the finish, what difference does it make if you made the break? So in my mind, Harm's up there driving it, just killing himself for no reason whatsoever. Now, strategy for Ineos, I'm going to take an educated guess here, because they let a massive size break go up there of about 24 riders. And you know, if Ineos wanted that back, they can pull it back. Instead, I got to believe they just kept the gap steady on the climb. They let anybody they want jump into that break, minus the top 5 or top 10 on general classification, and they just stayed steady with the ideal of running Salvatore Puccio and Ghana all the way as long as they can over this first climb, down the descent and through the valley to start the monstrous climb, Passo Giao. This climb is 10 kilometers long, 9.3% in average. It is a monster of climb, but honestly, guys, for all of us sitting on the couch watching this race, and for probably 75, 100 riders in this race, this climb is really 60K long from the bottom to the top. They're talking about it listing as 10 kilometers, but really this climb is 60K. When you look at the profile, they're going to start a drag going all the way from the valley up. They're going to hit one small little peak and drop down that descent, and then they're going to start the monster climb there. Absolutely devastating. But for any of us normal people sitting on the couch, I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was back in the day. This is a 60-kilometer climb, man. You know there's going to be some suffering. Now that break of 24 gets exciting, because when they go over the first climb, Crocetta, on the descent, it's technical and twisty, and 6 guys right off the front. They must have just been blazing down that descent, because they leave the other 18 behind and we'll never see them again on this stage. Watching the stage from start to finish, I don't even know when those guys were caught. The cameras never went back to that group of 18. They just focused on the group of 6. And up front, Gorka Izagirre, Antonio Pedrero, Almeida's there from Deceuninck Quickstep, Nibali and Formolo and the Trek Segafredo rider, Gabriel Zabier, are up there, and they got a 6-minute gap, and they got Almeida in there. Almeida's 8 minutes and 30 seconds back on GC, so he's a bit of a threat to the Ineos-led train back there, but they got Egan Bernal, and so they're comfortable at giving them a 6-minute gap. Now with 50K to go, it's EF Education who decide to get on the front and start bringing this break back, and they're driving it hard up there with TJ Van Gardner and all their flat riders throwing in everything they can before the climb really starts getting hard. Right away, we see one EF Education rider get into it with Salvatore Puccio, and he's having none of it. The EF Education rider wanted Ineos to work with them, and Salvatore Puccio's like, man, we got our own plan. If you want to go faster, congratulations, get on the front, you go faster. And there's a little argument there, and finally, EF Education get on the front with their two guys and start driving it. TJ Van Gardner is doing a good job of bringing the time gap down, and you'll see it dropping 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 more seconds. And then when the climb starts is when you see Simon Carr get on the front and start driving it. Up front in the breakaway, before the Paso de Gal starts, there's an attack on the descent right there just before the climb, and we'll see Gorka Izagirre going flying off the left side of the road, barely avoiding the car on the left side and just coming back out on the road, saving it without crashing. That particular incident was caused because when they went into the right turn there, Pedrero there, you'll see, loses his bike just a little bit, and that offsets Gorka Izagirre. So now Gorka Izagirre has to move more left, and now he can't make the right turn. He flies off the road and just barely misses the car and pops back onto the road, possibly flatting at the same time. We lost him out of the break shortly after that because he's chasing the whole time, trying to get back to the group of 5 up front. Now, the action in the back. Simon Carr, I said, already got on the front when the climb started proper, and he has blown it down to basically 7, 8 riders back there. Simon Yates is hanging on the back. He's got a gap in front of him, and he just can't quite close to the EF Education-led group there. Behind, Alexander Vlasov has had a mechanical of some kind. Commentator said possibly a jacket. His rain jacket got caught in the wheel and held it up. He's going to chase all the way to the finish. Up the final climb and down the descent. He's going to do an amazing ride, but he's not going to be able to stay with the EF Education-led front group with Egan Bernal and teammate Martinez there for company. Up front, it's exciting. Formolo's thrown in a dig. Looks like the front group of 5 now have a chance of making it to the line. Nibali's back there. Almeida's still hanging on. Guys, there's just action all the way up this climb from the front. It kind of blew my mind how split up the front break was when they started Paso de Gal, but they decided to go and attack hard with Formolo right at the start, and that's just causing the breakaway chasing each other all over the place instead of staying together as one unit. Now, behind, Simon Carr is just destroying the time. And we start realizing when we're about a third away up this last climb that this group's probably going to get caught because Simon Carr is on a mission and he has devastated the GC. Simon Yates starts getting dropped off the back. Gorka Izagirre, the Astana rider originally in the break, now is dropped back, and he's going to try to do whatever he can for Alexander Vlasov back there. Simon Yates will lose massive time on today's stage, over 2 minutes. Up front, finally, Egan Bernal decides he's going to throw in attack and just blow this race up. He goes hard, and he gets a gap right away on EF Education's Hugh Carthy, and his now is just focused and drilling it all the way to the line. He goes over the top of the climb sprinting, drops down the backside. He's taking risk on the descent. It's absolutely magical how well he's handling his bike. Egan Bernal can do amazing stuff with his bike, everything except for time trial. He goes downhill good, he handles the gravel good, and he climbs like angels. So he's bombing down this descent. He's got about a 30-45 second gap on Damiano Caruso back there, who has Romain Bardet chasing him down the descent. We've seen some magical descending from Romain Bardet in the Tour de France from years past. So he is doing a great job to catch on to second place, Damiano Caruso. Those two will work back there, but it won't do any good because Egan Bernal is just working his magic. Comes in back into the picture when the cameras finally come on with about 500 meters to go. At 300 meters to go, Egan Bernal decides he's going to take off his jacket, his rain jacket. And they got tight-fitting rain jackets, so he's getting it off with about 300 meters to go, and you see it a little bit stuck. He finally pulls it off, doesn't litter, throws it under his jersey, but he wants the picture in the pink jersey crossing the line for his second stage win here at this Giro. Now, it is a magical moment and well worth the time to lose a few seconds. Hopefully he doesn't crash is what I was thinking. Man, don't crash. I don't know if I personally would have done it because it looks like it would be hard to keep the bike up trying to get a jacket that tight off on cobblestones going that slow uphill. But he gets it off, and a magical win for Egan Bernal and Ineos riders who put in such a big effort throughout this Giro. This time gap that he got now will really solidify his leadership here at the Giro and will allow his team to ride defensively throughout the rest of these stages. Damiano Caruso does an amazing, solid ride, kind of in the shadows the whole time like he has been at this Giro, but now he's sitting in fantastic position, second on general classification. Hugh Carthy does a great job of salvaging some damage loss going up the climb and keeps within 1:20 at the finish line. Behind, Simon Yates loses over 2 minutes, I believe, and his Giro chances for the win are over. But let's face it, everybody now at this Giro is racing for second and third because first, Egan Bernal is absolutely looking magical. Unless he has some bad luck, unless his whole team falls apart, he is the winner of this year's Giro. Fantastic ride today. Beautiful race. I wish we could have seen more video coverage of the last climb and the attacking of Egan Bernal on today's stage. But absolutely magical race. Team Ineos were fantastic with their tactics of keeping the whole team together on the first climb, La Crosetta, and not panicking, allowing that break to go up there and get 6 minutes, and then just waiting until EF Education decided to do the bulk of the work to catch those guys and bring the time back down on Joao Almeida. Almeida rides himself back in the top 10 on GC for Deceuninck Quick-Step rider. It was a great ride today and left a little bit of drama there to continue at this year's Giro d'Italia. Hope you guys like the butterfly effect. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.